Hamashi Ak has made. We're so glad that Yahweh has made it possible. So Matah, Yahweh, is chosen. Israel, his tribe. Matah is the name for tribe. As many as, of course, y'all know already. And we are Wayahudah, we are the people chosen. And with this day, on this Shabbat, we want to graciously be reminded that we have been blessed with the commandments of the eternal Yah, our Abba, and been given great privilege just to breathe his air, to eat his food, to use his legs, to use his arms that we might reach out to our loved ones, his people, and to speak the word of the commandments, the law, the statute, and ordinances of eternal Yah, our Abba. So from the Shamayim, the bed, I want you, along with me, to say Shamayim, Bayet, Abba Yah. Okay, so that is our prayer for now. And I want to also give a reminder for those who attentively, and I should say, well, their attention brought real glad tidings of good things. I want to thank all those who I have communicated with over the past few months in Haiti, those who are in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I also want to give reminders for prayer for those who are on the Ivory Coast of Africa in Sierra Leone. The Lade family. I want to also thank the Oracle and the family of Azariah, the farm, the house of Azariah. And also would like to give reminders to my dearly beloved Yael and the lead. We have Yahashua with us today, and which is a blessing to see his face. And we're going to go into the word. I want to also thank all the family and friends all along the eastern seaboard, and those who are abroad in the US of A, and each and every one who felt in their hearts to take a minute to share your time and your ability with all of us who celebrate on this Shabbat. Now, we're coming into our months of Passover and our months coming up with Jubilee, but we're going to prepare ourselves at this time for a word. If you have any requests, any comment, or anything that you would like to share, I'm going to ask you to put those down into the comments below. We're going to continue the fellowship after we do this, and we want you to also share in and join in with us. For many abroad, we had our last convocation coming together, and we had over, I believe it was 500 people who tentatively joined in with us. I don't know what those numbers are now because, of course, they increase when they look at the rebroadcast or the recorded version. But we also are going to put on some of the other venues, what we have here, so that all of the people of Yahweh are awakened at this time. And we want that message to go everywhere because his people are in all four corners of the earth, all 12 tribes. And looking at that with the 12 tribes mentioned, he had 12 disciples, there were 12 foundations in the kingdom, there are 12 promises given, there are 12 fruits in that kingdom, there are 12 gates in that kingdom, and there are also, I want to also make it be known to all who do not know, but each one of the tribe represent the 12 stones. That is so vitally important to us, the 12 stones, because you have a specialized stone. Now, what I have learned about foods and what we got in our principles from Yael, the reason why I share that is because she has been, for the most part, up in arms. These are the image of the 12 stones. I don't know if you can get that. Might be a glare, I'm not sure, but I'm going to turn it that way and that way. And the foods that we eat pertain to everything in terms of our physiological character. I did a page on anthropomorphic man in a dissertation, and I sent one to Harvard University, and they still have that on record. In that particular book, we took an excerpt, one little piece out, so that we can share this with each and every one of you. So at this time, I would like to pretty much go into the word, because we're going to do Q&A, questions and answers, after. I love questions and answers because I like interaction. Y'all know that I like to interact. Okay, now, without further ado, and if I'm not forgetting one, I want to thank also the families who prayed for us. We had a real high time in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we went through, it was a number of very close encounters of the third kind experiences with some very interesting things. And they got a lot of things on video, so I'm sure a lot of it's going to be shared with you. I want everyone who has your Torah to turn to, I want to look, probably first we're going to do it this way. Look in the book of Genesis, chapter 28. Genesis, chapter 28. That is the book of Genesis, chapter 28, and verse 10. Berashi, Barashi, Bera on earth. That is the book of beginning things on earth. Genesis, chapter, let me get my specs. Genesis, chapter 28, and verse 10. Starting at verse 10. And we have readers. So what we're going to do is look at the element of integrity with the word. The element of integrity with the word. I have my reader, looking for a real, where's my reader? There's my reader. We're going to start us off with Genesis chapter 28 and verse 10.
And it says, and Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain palace.
Yes.
And tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that palace and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that palace to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up upon earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of Yah ascending and descending on it. Okay, I would like for y'all to keep that in mind. Now, this particular time, here you'll find that the patriarch went in, Yaqub went in to get some rest, away from the crowd and away from the people in his family and his herds and his flocks and all that he had accumulated. And he wanted to get some rest, so he found a rock to lay his head on. And he laid down just to get a little nap. You know how you get a nap? And so he had one of those early morning visions, just like he gives to you, an early morning vision. He gives that to his people particularly. And in this early morning vision, what he saw was a ladder was rested, according to the scriptures, on the earth. And I like the term rested because there is a purpose and a premise there for a rest. And it extended up into the Shemayim. It's extended up into heaven. The Shemayim, the Hebrew word for heaven. Now, in light of this rest, this was a testimony. And I want you to read on, because I want to go to the testimony that we're going to look at like 800 years into the future. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord Yah of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. Okay, the land that I give now, it doesn't change from the promise that was given to Abraham. Same promise that was given to Abraham. The promise that was given to Abraham was that wherever your feet touch, remember he said, I'll make you like the stars of heaven. In Genesis chapter 15, he made a promise. And he said, just as the sands on the sea, so shall your seed be. And so the promise was that in Abraham's seed, in Abraham's seed, this promise would flourish in the earth. And that is you. You represent that by blood, flesh, and bone. Okay. Now, in this, because I want to go to 17, we're going to look at the relationship of why it's important, because David was given a kingdom. The Lord promised Abraham land, okay? So with the kingdom and the land was built upon a nation, And that nation in these awake times are the people who are now testifying and look just like you and just like me all over the world, okay? What we're going to do is look at Mark chapter 3 and verse 18. Mark chapter 3 and verse 18. I want you to put your finger there, put a marker there, whatever you need to get that spot. Mark chapter 3 and verse 18. We're going to meet a man who wasn't nothing particularly divine about him. He loved the law and he loved the commandments, but it had a certain thing about his personality that accolades was given to him by Yeshua HaMashiach at this particular time. But in this passage, something else is going on. In Mark chapter 3 and verse 18, I'd like for someone to read that for us. Mark chapter 3 and verse 18. You got that, Sue? If you have it, my dear, I'd like for you to read it.
And Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James, the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus and Simon the Canaanite.
Okay, keep those names in mind because I want to show you something. Because when you read the next couple passages, you're going to see a name missing. We're going to talk about the integrity of the earth and the kingdom, okay? Now in Luke chapter 6 and verse 14, in the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 14, Susan, I'm going to ask you, my dear, to grace us with these intros. Bless you. Luke chapter 6 and verse 14.
Simon, whom he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew.
Okay, now turn to John chapter 1 and verse 45. John chapter 1 and verse 45. Okay, now remember the vision that that was given to Yaqub while he rested. Okay, we want to be absolutely certain about that. All right, while he rested, boy, his name was changed to Yashriel. Okay, boy, his name was changed to Yashriel. I want you to keep in mind he was under the stars, laying his head down, and I'm sure he folded up a cloth on top of that rock. So don't go home and try to get a hard brick and lay your head on and think you're going to get some rest there, because you won't. All right.
Verse 45. Philip findeth Nathanael and saith unto him, We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.
Okay, now this is the continuing covenant. This is the new covenant. I want you to keep it in mind. Okay, now remember the names that were named in the previous passages. We're in another passage in John chapter 1 and verse 45. Now I want y'all to notice there's a few people missing there, but I want you to continue, my dear.
And Nathanael said unto him, Can there any good thing come out of Nazareth?
Now, Nathanael, I'll tell you who Nathanael is, because he's the son of Thaddeus, or the son of Thalamew. All right? He's the son of Thalamew. Go ahead, read on.
Philip said unto him, Come and see. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him, and said to him, Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom is no God.
When they saw Nathanael, whose father was Thalamew, the Hebrew word is Bar. He was Bartholomew. Nathanael was Bartholomew. And Nathanael, the name change was because look what type of man he was. I know that would tickle your funny bone, and I know why. Look what type of man he was. He was a man of integrity, a different man. And Yeshua, a Hamashiach, he shows Yahweh honoring a man A natural dude who just under a fig tree, which is a Hebrew practice of studying the Torah and meditating upon the principles and statutes of the word. He's watching this man when the man's unseen, studying the Torah. Now, I need your attention, and I need you to watch this. And this particular man, Yeshua, looks at him, and he gives this man accolades. He don't know this man from a can of paint, but this man's integrity has something to say, and I'm going to show you where that integrity lies. Go ahead, read on, my dear.
48. Nathanael said unto him, Whence knowest thou me? Jesus answered and said unto him, Before that Philip called thee, when thou was under the fig tree, I saw thee.
Yeshua says to him, that is Christ the Anointed, said, when you were under the fig tree, that's a Hebrew practice of priests, you were studying. That's where they are at the fruit, the full fruit of their practice is under the fig tree. All right, read on, my dear, read on.
Nathanael answered and said unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel.
So he says to him, he looks at Yeshua, okay, and he says to him, calls him Bar, that is son, Yasha, that is, he is the son, Hashemayim. You are the one from heaven. Tesphra, which is crown or covered one, from above. You are the king of Yashriel. You are the one. You're the man. Because how could you have seen me when that is a secret place that I go on a regular basis? A secret, and I am a stranger to you. But here's what Yeshua was saying. He was saying, this man, remember I told you earlier about Yael telling us about foods, the types of foods we eat. You know, she always honors her husband. Said, yeah, we were looking at this and we were looking at that, and we saw this, and we saw that. And, you know, you're not supposed to eat this, but you know you can eat that. And so this man's life was tailored based on how he ate, how he lived his life, who knew him, how he was associated with others. It says nothing about his teen years. Somehow or another, that's not important in the Hebrew covenant. Isn't that wonderful for me? So, but we're interested. The interesting portion was that his life sent a message to Yahweh or Yahweh about what type of man he was. Now, David, testify. I want you to read Leviticus chapter 11. Interject just for a moment. I want you to stay. I want you to read that about the dietary laws, because I want to share something with y'all real briefly about aspartame and those things that are in processed foods, which is very important for you to understand and know. There are certain things you can actually eat that can rob you of your integrity. And you know why? Because if you're eating the wrong things and they're injuring you physically, you at some point in pain, it doesn't matter who you are, you will cuss your body out. You'll cuss that pain, hit your toe in the middle of the night when you get a restaurant. We'll see how spiritual you really are. Oh, Israel. You will cuss that pain out. Doesn't matter. But it shows you that the dietary plan that was given to us was handed to us for a reason. There's a purpose behind that. It's a purpose behind it. And you can extend your life, or you can extrapolate the good things from your own life. I mean, you know, that according to the covenant, the commandments and the laws and the ordinances that were given to us, we've been given the choice. The choice is to follow the commandments. Remember, he said, I set before you this day death and life. He said, cursing and blessing. I'm not even going to give you an option. Choose life that you might live. That's the option. Are y'all with us here? Okay. So by choice, according to the commandments, we have been given an option, and I love it, which is no option at all. You know, choose life. Okay. Now read that for us, Dali.
Leviticus 12.
The passage about the dietary laws. You have it? No? Okay. Leviticus chapter 11.
Oh, Leviticus 12.
And while we're waiting to get there, I want to just simply say that over a course of time, the foods that you ingest, because I heard somebody say that they were talking about a man who had a big midsection. His stomach was out like this. His love handles were called love handles. And he said his arms were skinny as a rail, and his legs was bony, all the way from his thigh all the way down. He said you could pick your tooth with his legs. The man was a skinny, plump man. And what happened was they said it's because his diet was so terrible that he didn't realize that the foods that he ate actually was stoic in his body. And inside of his body, the few foods in his stomach began to putrefy. Literally he was walking around with garbage, a walking garbage can. I'm not going to say who the man was. And what happened was after a course of time, the man started getting bad off sick, not realizing that he was causing kidney failure, heart disease, and all these other things from the tiny skinny legs he had, the tiny skinny arms he had, and this great big kettle pot that he sat on something every day. Okay, so that could be a hindrance, when you've been given the dietary laws. The Hebrew brother, given the dietary laws. So are you there yet? Are we there yet? Yeah. Okay, could you read that for us, son? I want to briefly go over this.
Okay. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
Speak up a little louder. Thank you, sir.
Whatsoever parteth the hoof and the cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you why I started there. I want to stop there for now. I'm going to show you why. When you go into a supermarket in some of the Nazarite neighborhoods, notice, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Yeshua HaMashiach came out of Nazareth. The anointed Christ came from Nazareth. In other words, can anything come out of the ghetto? This is what Nathaniel, the son of Thalamu, said. Can anything come out of the ghetto? Well, this is the deal about the ghetto in supermarkets. There are food deserts in those communities on the inner cities, a lot of them. And there's nowhere where you can really get anything good or great to eat. But the sad part is that most of the food you go into any supermarket is processed food. 90% of the food inside of supermarkets are processed foods. So you can be eating your sickness. Now, remember I mentioned acetane. It's a soy that's inside most of the foods, acting as a preservative. The objective of a preservative in packaged food is so that the food doesn't go bad in short periods of time. That's why a lot of it, you'll find frozen. But what it does is inside of a man's body, it causes men to have estrogen increase, where men have, gynecomastia, women chest and things of that nature from eating too much things that are processed with soy. And with this acetane, it's no good for the body. And the frightening part about it is it diminishes fertility. It diminishes physical viral drive. And in women, the same thing causes women to deplete their testosterone, estrogen balance. It's a balance that women lose. So the estrogen that increases, but beyond the progesterone, what causes the women to gain excess, and it causes them to have pain in their back and their legs and in their body and in their teeth and a number of other things are the foods that they're selling every day in supermarkets. And if you are watching this at this time, I'm going to ask you to put your comment in the bottom right where you are right now, and I want you to like and subscribe to this channel. I want you to like and subscribe, ring that bell on the side for us, and I want you to share this video with someone. Even if you don't go through the first 3 stages, share the video with someone right now. You can do that right now. Find someone to share this with. So what happens with women when they gain that, they have a tendency of the testosterone being misplaced out of balance. So women become more masculine. It also deals with the narrative that we get today where men are more feminine in their actions and women are more masculine. We're here more, that's more of the dialogue or conversation they're having today. But when the Lord saw Nathaniel, here he was a true Jew, a true Israelite. Here this man follows the commandment. He's even studying under the tree, the fig tree. So here in the law, which David just read, David just read in part, it gives us here a roadmap to how we are to retain the natural integrity of our physical bodies. Now, I wrote a dissertation many years ago, and I sent the book to Harvard University. They have it on their, Harvard has this book on their file. That dissertation is unpublished. And I wanted Juju to read, I think, a piece of the excerpt from page 136. It's from a 250-page, I do believe, dissertation. And that particular writing talks about the anthropomorphic man. It was a part of my dissertation. The anthropomorphic man. What happens is the body develops a very strange, in a strange way. Like you'll see men, you know, with they have this, you know, some people say it's genetics, but when you look at their family, they don't look like their family. And according to doctors today, they said it's coming pretty much from the diet. Okay, so if you have that, my dear, could you read that? You did. That's page 136, and it speaks about the anthropology, the anthropology portion. It's in the middle of that page. You look down in the middle of the page. It's this long word. You can skip that long word. Yeah, just read that and read the next 4 lines. Right in the middle. It's right in the center. You can give it to me as, you know. Oh, you don't want to come over here? They don't have a, your face ain't in the post office, is it?
No.
Okay, all right, right here. On page 136, and it says right here, see what it says, the anthropology biblical model of men? Okay, you read that nice and strong for us. And I'm sharing this with you. This is not about no accolade, but this is what was written. I wrote this, wow, years, in I think it was 2010. 2010. It's for a double graduate degree. Come on, read for us, my dear. Read it.
The body is an intricate, complex, cosmic makeup of so many parts. It would be another book to mention. Mm-hmm. The anthropological biblical model of a man is recreated in immense structure, growing up into the wholeness of what has been received of Christ spiritually. Mm-hmm. What's more is that God made redemption for every level of the Christian experience. The promise of Christianity is the joy and the power of an integrated life.
Now, see, I was confused back then. See, that's the writing of a confused man, because the anthropology piece is the piece that showed where the lineage goes. Are y'all with me on this? Y'all getting this? Mm-hmm. And see, so, but the other part is really a strong level of discord, a strong level of discord. Where's Susan, my reader? Okay, so it's a strong level of discord. But with the people who don't realize that you have power and control over your own physical self. You have power. You're the boss of your own body. You can say what your body can and cannot do because that's the ability of the will. He gave that to us. Are y'all understanding that? So Susan and I, we started very early on in life on how we were going to conduct, for the most part, what we ate. And my children remember in the house, at home, you know, how I would say, oh no, I'm not eating that. Well, y'all go ahead, you know, but Dad ain't eating this. And I'm not, and I didn't realize that it was a covenant given to me very early on that was inherent in my culture. And that is the XY chromosome that was passed on to me. Now, here, this Bartholomew, Yeshua meets him, and he looks and says, surely this is a true Israelite. Yeshua is excited about seeing his people. Remember last week, we talked about him not being so excited to see the Greeks? Do you remember the Edomites? He wasn't so excited to see the Edomites. He wasn't so excited. But this man, he jumped up just to run and said, whoa, where did you know me from? But his testimony went in front of him. Now, I would like for somebody to read John chapter 21 and verse 2, because I want to look at some of the antics that connect to this particular man and why this particular dream, because we're going to go back to John chapter 1 where Sue was reading. That's John chapter 21 and verse 2. If you have any questions or any comments, put them inside the comment section right there below. I would love for you to subscribe to this channel and to give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, and share this video with someone that you know, someone that you love. All right, even with us, if you want to share, you share right back to us. We'll be glad to see it. Okay, now I would like for somebody to read that passage for us, please. That is John chapter 21 and verse 2. Because we're looking at the original.
There were together Simon Peter and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Canaan in Galilee.
There's Bartholomew again. Go ahead.
And the sons of Zebedee and 2 other of his disciples.
And the sons of Zebedee and 2 other disciples. Notice, why is it so important not to name them, but it was important to name Nathanael? Because y'all need to be chewing on this a little bit. Go ahead, my dear, read on.
Simon Peter said unto them, I go a fishing. They say unto him, we also go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. Then Jesus said unto them, children, have ye any meat? They answered him, no. And he said unto them, cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved said unto Peter, it is the Lord. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked.
Okay, now watch this.
And did cast himself into the sea.
Now he jumped, he said, wait a minute. Have I known that? If somebody tells you that this is a good thing for you, and I love you, and they have no strings attached to that thing. In other words, they have nothing divested or invested in you eating it or drinking that thing, and say, this is the best thing that you can do right now. And you know that person loves you. Would you take that advice? Think about it. I'm not asking you to answer that. I'm just saying, think about that. Somebody loves you and they're telling you, here, this is the best thing for you. You should take this. And you decide in your mind, well, no, you know, I have gout feet, but gout feet don't have me. And eventually, gout feet is going to defeat something, you know? No, gout feet's going to defeat. See, because I know there was a guy in our neighborhood named Bays, guy we call Bays. Nice dude. He had another nickname because people gave him nicknames. He used to come, we used to all sit around, everybody used to sit around the bottle. This guy, he was a young dude. It was only at this particular time in his 20s. But he had a problem with his right foot. Then we saw him a few weeks later. He said he was in the hospital, but he had a cane. He was close, I'm not going to say close friends, but close to my cousin Monty Carter. And we were all, you know, I would walk past there, but I didn't hang too long, but I would come through because, you know, it was one of them type of neighborhoods at the time, like Nassau. Later on, we heard that he had an operation. He said, oh, that ain't nothing, like passe. But this guy ate all the wrong stuff. He ate fried foods constantly, never ate vegetables, never ate fruit, never ate salads, never ate dates, you know, the stuff kiwi and papaya and, you know, and melons and none of that. So another time he had to go to the hospital and they did another surgery and they cut another portion of his leg off. He's still walking around with crutches now, other than, you know, cane he increased with crutches. And you probably remember who I'm talking about, and then eventually we didn't see him. Everybody said, well, where, anybody seen, you know, we didn't know where he was because we never went over, he lived with his grandmother at the time. We never went over his house, but we didn't know where he was at. We found out a couple months later he had passed. Because the thing that he is like, oh, you know, hey, this ain't nothing, I got this. That's what he said, I got this. When somebody who's not had nothing to take from you tell you that something is good for you, wouldn't you just bang it? Yeah, oh yeah, let me do that. Because I don't have the answer. So somebody's got the answer. So let me, since this was presented to me and I don't know it, you know, let me do something that I can remedy this, okay? Now, I'd like for you to go back, my dear. I need you to go back and look at John chapter 1 and verse 49. And we're going to look at one other passage and we're done. John chapter 1 and verse 49. And this is Israel. This is a representation of the nation and particularly the nation Metah of praise, Yahudah. The nation of praise, Yahudah, that's you. Particularly you, Lena, David, Bartholomew, Malachi, Leah, Juju, Manny, Elijah. Yes, this is particularly you. You, Belzies. This is you. This is talking about you and your parents and your grandparents. This pertains to us. All right, go ahead, read, my dear.
Verse 50.
Yes.
Jesus answered and said unto him,
Yeshua HaMashiach answered and said to him, come on.
Because I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these.
Come on now.
And he said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man.
So what we read in Genesis chapter 28 and verse 10, speaking about Yaqub before his name was changed to Yashriel, Israel. The connection between the earth, the bed, and the Shamayim will be a strong connection because of you. It's going to be a strong connection because of you. In other words, there won't be no how do we get there by rocket ships. Remember we talked about that last week. There's not going to be no how we touch you and communicate with you. This strong connection has everything to do with when Yeshua saw someone who he made immediately a disciple. And this was the very first disciple that called him out for who his actual purpose was for being here. Notice they said in the first part, you are the son of the living Yah. Then he went on to say, you are the king of Israel. Then he went on to say, you are the man. And guess what Yeshua, HaMashiach, the anointed Christ, called himself? The Son of Man. Never lifting himself to those titles. Isn't that something? Never lift yourself to the titles. Outlive the lying beast that's trying to take all of us up out of here, Israel, oh Israel. And fight that good fight as a nation, because you're not as much as an individual as you think you are. You're not. You are a nation gathered together, gathered here. Look at all of you. Look how beautiful all of y'all are gathered in one place. Gathered. And you know yourself right now that this is exactly how we look all over the world. I know because I know people from several different countries. And it's very interesting when you hear those testimonies, very powerful, you know, very serious. And you think about it, how he scattered his people, but now he's gathering us. And in politics, I don't know if you listen to politics, but in politics, they're using phrases now, the woke crew. Do you hear them say, yo, yeah, they're talking about us. That's what they're talking about, the woke crew. It's a new buzzword now. See, they're talking about us. So don't take offense to it, because yes, we's be the woke crew. That bees us, you know. We bees the wokens. See? So you can call me the woken, even though I am David Tesphorah. That is David, crowned David, my name. Yes, we are indeed. Yes, we are indeed the woke ones. And I want to just go for one thing, Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 2. Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 2. Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 2. So the law was 430 years given to Moshe. After Abraham. Okay, after Abraham was given to Moshe. And the law and the commandments are not grievous. He said, you love me, and it's continual covenant. He said, well, keep my commandments. He said, my commandments are not grievous. He said, here are the commandments presented to you. He said, how do you know this? He said, because I know this based on you keeping it. So this was Bartholomew. He kept those commandments, and his testimony ran before him in Philip and in Andrews. They told Yeshua, this is the thing. He's all about your word. Now remember, Yeshua didn't die, wasn't buried, didn't raise yet. But here's the man, even Yeshua testifies on his behalf. He said, he's surely a true Jew, a true Israelite. Okay, I'd like for you to read that for me, my dear. Bless you.
Keep my commandments.
Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 2. This here missed that. I'm sorry. You'll read, okay.
Keep my keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye.
Okay. Keep my commandments, O Yisrael, and live. Do what with his commandments? Keep them. Keep them. He didn't say memorize them. He didn't say get the commandments and study them all day long and try to keep them in your head. Keep them just like you keep your wallet with your information in it. And you pull it out when you need to. That's what he meant. Just want to let you know. Don't look at somebody who memorizes stuff. That's not what it's about. It's about you keeping something so precious that whenever you need it, you can pull it out and go to it. But if you do memorize it, then your circumstance and situation has drawn you to that. Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16, and I'm going to try to close. There's the Edenic covenant, the Adamic covenant, the Noahic covenant, the Abrahamic covenant, the Mosaic covenant, Palestinian covenant, Davidic covenant, and the new covenant. We are in the fourth covenant call as the wife of Abba, our eternal Yah. We are the wife of Abba, our eternal Yah. Last scripture we're going to read is Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16. Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16. I need someone to read it loud.
Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made.
Wait a minute. Now to who?
Abraham and his seed were the
Now to who? Abraham and his seed. Let's say it together. To Abraham and his seed.
were the promises made.
Were the promises made. Not to every and anybody. All the promises was made to anybody and everybody. No. No. We did the XY chromosome and the DNA. We know who that seed is now, don't we? Okay, read on, sweetheart.
He saith not unto seeds as of many,
My.
but as of one,
Uh-huh.
and to thy seed, which is Christ.
Yes, and to thy seed, which is Christ. I'm so glad that you tuned into us today. And for all those of you who have watched and have fellowship and have worshiped and have praised in this time, we know that he went through that call of death, burial, and resurrection. And even in the very beginning in the Torah, it tells of the story. So what we are standing on is the principle of what happened to me when I had that great change. Now, how did that happen? So if you're doubting anything, I need somebody to go inside my chest and in my heart and tell me how that happened. And that is my testimony that indeed he transformed my life as he can yours. So just to be of the flesh in the transition, you ought to be birthed anew in the transition as well and converted to his word. It's not difficult to follow his command because he made his commandments not grievous for his chosen people. I want to give thanks once again to everybody who gathered here together today. And we're going to close out in prayer after we close. But I want to sing Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah. Hey, I'm going to blow the shofar while y'all singing strong. Sing it strong for me.
Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah Eha.
Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah